For my 52nd birthday, I wanted to do something totally epic. I always thought on your birthday that you should give a present to your mom. So going over my bucket list, I looked at something that was totally crazy that she would actually enjoy, which is doing my first comedic skit in front of an audience. I made the mistake of using official company email to invite all my friends and coworkers. Well, the rumor mill just went crazy, and that pulled in management and HR, which I never expected. In my meeting with management, I was informed that there is a code of conduct for after hours, and that if I did anything too crazy, there could be repercussions. I got a hold of HR. I wanted to see this policy. It took them a whole day to find it, and basically all it said is that if you're representing the company at an external event, don't do anything stupid. Well, I wasn't planning to anyway. But just in case HR sent a representative, and in the skit you're going to see she's actually backstage with a taser to take me down in case I say anything really stupid. So with that, on with the show.
Today's lecture is going to be on male aging, specifically version 1.3. We're going to cover the relative merits of turning 52 in today's culture. I was given to understand that the youth of today have named this phenomena creepy old guy, or COG for short. That's what they call me behind my back at work. And I think it's kind of funny. So what I'm going to talk about tonight has gone through several revisions, and several of the people here tonight have helped me work on it. Version 1.0 was too raw, right? With software, you never release version 1.0 unless you happen to be a giant software company in the state of Washington where you pay people to, where people have to pay for the upgrade that actually works. Version 1.1 was so raunchy that that's what led to the intervention I was talking about earlier, where they said you cannot present that information. I never planned to anyway, I just thought it was really funny. So the third version is actually is what you're going to see tonight, so it's been completely changed over, as you can tell. Instead of a high energy, crazy comic skit, we're doing sort of a lecture format, although that will change as we go along. So to gather data, oh, I got to mention, I got to back up here. So we'll get back to the lecture in just a minute. So as part of my 52nd birthday, I wanted to reconnect with my niece, who I hadn't seen in 15 years, and she lives in Las Vegas. So completely on a lark, I got a first-class ticket, flew out to Las Vegas just for a night to meet my niece that I hadn't seen for 15 years. We reconnected, and then leaving Las Vegas to come back here to eventually get ready for work and to do the skit. This is the, if you could go ahead and press the scene, this is the sign in the airport leaving Las Vegas. Press again. I could not believe it. They have the audacity. How many millions of people have seen this sign leaving Las Vegas? It's like, oh my God. So now this is a very good example. Now maybe this is something I could do up here that would get those repercussions we were talking about earlier, but don't worry, I'm not going to do that. So right back to our format here. So in true scientific fashion, I wanted to gather some data on this COG phenomenon. So what we did is we gathered a bunch of female test subjects, and we showed them pictures of me in my natural state.
No.
Okay? This is actually me on the plane going to Las Vegas. You can try and do Facebook at 30,000 feet. The Wi-Fi sucks. You might as well just wait until you land. Now, thanks to some of the video experts that are here tonight, Dr. Brad Majors and Dr. Janet Weiss, we are able to actually tap into the female brain and get an idea of what they actually see with creepy old guy. So I can assure you that having great personal experience with this is a very uncomfortable subject for all generations of both genders. So anyway, so I went to go study this material in other primates, thinking, what does it work for other types of primates? The closest one, of course, is the lowland gorilla, where they have the phenomena of the silverback. However, the silverback gorilla is the most desirable mate in the tribe. Oh, no, back, we'll get to that. In humans, quite the opposite, right? The creepy old guy is the least desirable member of the tribe. So how in the world do you go off and attempt to celebrate becoming this. So thus, the mini genesis of the show, excuse me as I try and trip over this cord here. So a skit came to me as I was having a manic episode on my motorcycle around Mount Evans. And there's 4 elements to this skit that we're going to go over. There's a Comic-Con booth babe, right? That's the first element. The second element is my favorite rock band Epica. Next chart. The third element is this motorcycle who would not be left outside tonight, and we'll explain why. And then the fourth element is God herself. Now, you heard my little bit about my mom. I can prove to you, mathematically, that God is a woman, if anyone's interested in doing the proof with me. Any takers? There's some huge brainiacs in now.
Sure.
See if I can write and talk at the same time. So, okay, any atheists out there, just shut up. Or leave now. This is another one of those HR moments that she's still back there with her taser. So, anyway, so Revelations 1:8. Anybody familiar with what I'm talking about? Alpha, Omega. I didn't know there's a math problem at the end of the Bible. This came to me on my manic ride around Mount Evans. So what is it? The whole thing, alpha, oh, this is a pretty rickety board. Alpha, omega, and everything, right? How would you express this mathematically, the brainiacs in the audience? Any ideas? The summation from I equals 1 to infinity of alpha sub I plus all the way to omega sub I, which is what? Everything. How do we express that mathematically? Harvey? Come on, man, you got an IQ of 170.
No.
What's the summation of everything? Infinity.
See, Rich has got it.
Mathematical proof that God is a woman. Also, since this is everything, clearly, God is not only male, right? So anyway, that's my mathematical proof there that explaining why God is a woman and thus the testament to my mom. All right, so back to these 4 elements I was talking about. So the first one is for my 51st birthday, I went off to Comic-Con. I don't know why it took me so long, but for some reason, whenever I go to one of these events, they decide to take things to a whole new level. We'll get back to Epica here in a little bit. That's the second element. So this year at Comic-Con, they decided to do something a little bit different. They gave all of the booth babes transparent smart brassieres. And on a secret signal from the people who were running the Comic-Con, they would flash transparent. The idea was to get all the nerds so stunned that they would remove the limits on their credit cards. What they didn't realize, of course, is that 100 women running around the Comic-Con doing this, they didn't realize the power that these women now had over these thousands of nerds that were running around the Comic-Con. Well, the nerds realized that something was going down, and they start to panic. Now, I had happened to, going around, it started out fairly normal. You know, there's nerds everywhere, there's people dressed as superheroes, and I noticed this one sad little lonely booth and made the mistake of going over there. It was a gender-confused geek doing Caitlyn Jenner as Wonder Woman. It was not going well, as you can imagine. So I was stunned watching that as my video processing unit, the fitter algorithms were going through the roof. I couldn't even move. I had to reset my entire processor. Meanwhile, all the nerds, they start to stampede because they're being chased by all these booth babes running around with their transparent brassieres, right? So, when I was finally able to reset my 40 Hz process and get going again, I look around, all the nerds have ran out of the hall, and I'm faced with 100 booth babes who are flashing on and off. So, I decided to use my comic superpower. Creepy old guy. Right? I had no choice. I'm faced with 100 women. What the heck am I going to do? So, I turn on my ultimate creepy old guy, and the women are stunned. But, however, the queen of the Comic-Con booth babes, her name's Matilda, she was not fazed at all. She had a very special costume. Her whole costume would go transparent when she pushed her power button. So all of her minions are just writhing all over the floor. They're just in horror looking at the creepy old guy that's in front of them. But Matilda decides she's going to advance and have the showdown with me, right? This is not like any Avengers movie you have ever seen, right? So she comes towards me and she's flashing on and off. Her costume just going transparent, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, just dazed. So I decided to, fortunately Saul and Preston had loaded some new video software before I went to the con. So I pressed the record button, sent it through the processing algorithms, and realized she's flashing on and off in Morse code. There's actually a signal here. So it's like S, U, M. M was really impressive. Submit. On and off, she's just flashing submit at me like a million times. It's like, oh, and I'm getting completely overloaded. And I found out that there's actually, I can write a, fortunately, eSmail had uploaded a new fault report algorithm for me. So we have the gain times the frequency of her costume flashing on and off, times the amplitude of the Viagra. When that was greater than the threshold that eSmail set, the fault response kicked in. What happened is all power was rerouted to the EDU, the exponential decay unit. All I had to do was just sag. Matilda's coming at me as fast as she can. Costume flashing on and off. So we had the showdown going. I'm aging at an exponential rate. She finally passes out when I hit 93.14 years of age. I see that she's finally passed out, awesome. By the time I cut off the power, I'm 142 years old. Fortunately, on the medical staff that comes to respond to this situation, there were men, because all the women just passed out immediately as soon as they saw the 142-year-old creepy old guy. And they revived everybody. So that was the first element of this story. You're not going to believe how all three of these elements come together. The next one, completely unrelated, is my favorite rock band, Epica. So it's very hard to describe their music. Basically, someone got the crazy brilliant idea to take a truckload of classical instruments and give it to a heavy metal band, just to see what kind of noise they would make. But they didn't stop there. That was just the beginning. They found Simone there in the front, who is a classically trained opera singer and absolutely stunning. She can sing through 5 octaves. So you've got this heavy metal band all in leather back there, destroying their classical instruments while she's out there singing. But they're not done yet. Mark here on the right, he's the lead guitarist. He also sings, if you could call it that, but it's not like anything you've ever heard in your life, outside of your worst nightmare. He sings like a demon. I'm not kidding. Oblivion. Beyond. Now you put all that together, you think this is, if you had told me that they had any of the elements in their band, I would have said this is the worst idea ever. But it's amazing, actually, how it all turns out. With Mark, though, doing the stuff in the background, half the time you can't even tell what he's saying. I don't know what the fuck you're saying. Because it goes so deep. Other times, it sounds like he's trying to swallow something that shouldn't be swallowed. Ah! You put all this together and you actually get some pretty amazing music. So I was going to show you a video, but unfortunately the wireless in my laptop broke. So I thought we'd do something totally crazy. Everybody's got their cell phone, right? Yes?
Yeah.
Whip out your cell phone. Go to the YouTube app.
How do you sync?
Everybody got it? No? Half the people can't work their cell phone in the dark?
I do have my glasses on.
Yeah, I gotta put on my glasses. Yeah. So search on Epica, E-P-I-C-A.
I have to spell now?
E-P-I-C-A. It's only 5 letters, Steve. You can do it.
I just have to get the thing
Let me
open.
see if I can get my iPad going here.
I have to have it.
And then play Storm the Sorrow. We'll see if we can break the cell tower.
It's only 3G.
It's only what?
It's only 3G.
Oh, sorry. We only have 3G in the room?
Yep.
Oh, no. That's too bad. Well, you have to imagine. Has everybody got 3G?
Yep.
Oh, well. So just imagine this on the big screen.
That's the LTE.
So we won't go through all of that. So that was a fail. I didn't know we had 3G. I was hoping that'd be so cool with all of us playing that video. If you've been to, back in my day when you went, I forgot your microphone.
Hey, Jason,
What?
that was an Epica fail.
An Epica fail. Thank you. Yes. Good lead into the next line, actually. So I was going to say that their music is epic. Actually, it's Epica. When I went to the website to get some of the media, and I wanted to actually get permission to show you that video on YouTube, I found out they're actually coming in concert. They're going to be at the Gothic on September 29th, and I have VIP tickets. So if anybody wants to join me for their amazing music, that would be awesome. So about the whole YouTube thing, I was wondering about, can I show an official music video on YouTube in a public forum? Anyone care to guess what the answer is?
No.
No. Actually, it's not that simple. It turns out, surprise, surprise, there's a huge gray area in the YouTube terms of service, and there's a whole blog out there on this very question. One guy swears that you can drag your 100-inch TV, projector TV out to the block party and show YouTube all day long to your neighbors. Then super lawyer dude comes in and says, no. Mary can record herself singing Mary Had a Little Lamb, put it on YouTube, and if I showed it to you in this venue, I could get sued by the record syndicate. So this has to be the defining moment in intellectual property law, right? This is amazing. So okay, we've got 2 of the elements, 2 to go. So we've got the Comic-Con booth babe that we talked about, and the Epica band. And then the next one is over there peeking in the corner, she didn't want to be left out, is my supernatural motorcycle. So as you saw in the beginning, the show here is creepy old guy and his supernatural motorcycle. 3 years ago, I was working in my garage. I like to do woodworking stuff. And I felt this cold draft behind me, and this voice, very sultry, says, "We crave sustenance." By the way, there's several movie references in here, so if anybody wants to shout out the movie, anybody know where that's from? Twister? Anyway. So if you hear a movie reference, you can feel free to shout it out. So I turn around, and there's a freaking succubus standing in my garage. Before I can say anything, she leaps across the garage, rips my clothes off, straddles me, and sucks the blood right out of my neck, which gives a whole new meaning to that very famous line, "Suck me, beautiful." As I'm passing out on the floor, she walks over to the middle of the garage and turns into the motorcycle. This has been 3 years now. I can't break the curse. So she's peeking in there in the door there. Don't be fooled, that's not a motorcycle. That's a supernatural creature that just happens to look like a motorcycle. So she is my joy. She's my passion. It's my fault I didn't lock the garage. Movie reference? Ferris Bueller, come on. Work with me here. So we've got the 3 elements here, right? We've got the booth babe, we've got Epica, my favorite band, we've got the motorcycle. And now the final element is God herself. We've already proven that God's a woman, right? So, let me, hold on just a second. Gotta get my prop on. Second. So, the Comic-Con fiasco was actually on a Friday. On Saturday, I just said, Dina and I, oh, by the way, her name is Dina. Dina and I decided to go for a ride. Well, she's a supernatural creature who eats men, right? So we can't just ride around town because she'll eat half the male population. So God herself has to come riding with us just to keep Dina in line. So God is coming up on stage right now. So what we do is we get on the motorcycle and we're going up Mount Evans, right? Just hanging along, God's my co-pilot, having a great time. God, turns out, has one hell of a wicked sense of humor. In fact, I figured out that the whole reason she created me was for, on the 8th day, for her amusement. My entire life has been defined by her batting me around like a cat's toy. So anyway, this is, normally she never says anything. And Dina just has to put up with it because God Almighty's riding co-pilot, right? So we're going like this, and I suddenly feel God start to chuckle behind me. That's never happened before. An image appears in front of the motorcycle. It's Queen Matilda of the Booth Babes. Her costume's flashing on and off, and no matter how fast I get the motorcycle to go, the image just keeps receding into the distance. So, this whole time, Epic is playing in my helmet. Simone, remember I mentioned the 5 octaves? She's going, oh! Mark's going, oh! And I'm going, ah! And I cannot catch this image. That is just receding into the distance. Now God is laughing hysterically, just absolutely, just having so much fun with me. And I say, you know what, God? It's not going to get any better than this. Just take me now. And she says, okay, are you sure? So she whips out her 3D printer from her cubicle in heaven and prints out another picture of Queen Matilda, the Booth Babe, slaps it on the front of my visor. I can't see anything. Whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. Excuse me. Fail. Now I can't get it open, that's hysterical. There we go. So anyway, this is over my visor. I can't see anything. I'm stunned by this image. It's just, oh, epic. At this point I realize I can't breathe, I can't see, I've lost control of the motorcycle. Dina screams, ah! I rip open my visor, and we're coming up on a cliff that wasn't there before. Obviously, it's my time to go now. So just as we're going over the edge, there's no time to do anything. Dina turns back into her natural succubus form. Poof! And off we go. I'm not going to do it. Off we go off the edge of the cliff. Now I'm straddling Dina's back. She's in natural succubus form now, right? Picture this. I'm straddling her back as we're just falling, free falling off the edge of the cliff because it's my time to die. I got nowhere to, I'm like, ah! Epica's still playing in my helmet. Simone's going, oh! Mark's going, oh! I'm going, ah! Right? I've got nowhere to hang on. I'm just free falling. So I grab the only thing I can find. Dina goes, ow, God damn it, that hurts. And God says, she had nothing to do with that. That was clearly an act of free will. So we're still falling. Dina, turns out, I didn't know this, one of her natural or supernatural capabilities is she goes spread eagle in the air. There are these little leather winglets I didn't even know about, and with a giant whoop sound, we're now flying through the air, and she grabs my hands and goes all Wolverine on me, sticks her claws through each of my hands, and whoop, we're now flying down the side of Mount Evans, right? So imagine this. It's like a giant purple flying squirrel with horns, hooves, a tail, and me, creepy old guy on her back, right? Totally crazy scene. So it turns out she's actually really good at gliding. Who knew, right? I thought she was just a motorcycle. So as we're gliding down Mount Evans, we actually start passing some of those paragliders. Well, they look over at us, and they're just shocked. They just fall out of the sky like dead birds, left and right. So at this point, I start wondering, what the heck happened to God? Right? Here we are, me and Dina flying through the sky. I look over at her, and she's just riding along right next to us, laughing her ass off. She says, "This looks like a mashup of Game of Thrones and E.T., only it's not Daenerys Targaryen flying over Denver. It's creepy old guy." So, Dina flies us all the way to my house. So we get about over to the driveway. Like I'm amazed. I thought she was just a motorcycle. She's also an airplane. We get about 20 feet over my driveway. She goes into a barrel roll and retracts her claws. I go, whoom, right on the driveway, totally stunned. This time she doesn't even bother with the clothes. She just jumps on top of me, sucks me completely dry. I'm a husk. You're up.
Again?
No, not yet. Hold on. Greg is going to play a part here, and he did a bad job of coordinating the set. So, I'm a husk lying in my driveway, completely void of blood. My soul is now floating over my body, looking down at all of this. God has several options at this point in the story. What does she decide to do? She goes over to my neighbor's Bill's house and knocks on the door. Bill looks at God, at my dead husk in the driveway, and he says,
Again?
So the two of them grab my dead husk and throw it in the back of Bill's pickup truck. And they drive over to Bonfils, the blood place. For the past 2 years, I've been donating blood, storing it up, knowing it was just a matter of time. The blood people are really pissed. They thought I was donating that to other people. So anyway, they get the transfusion going. They, fill me back up with my blood. My soul gets sucked back into my body, and we get ready to leave. So we get in Bill's car. God's, all three of us are there, and we start to drive away. At this point, Bill says,
What the hell happened?
So I pulled the picture off of my visor, and I handed it to him.
Epic, dude.
He's so amazed that he loses control of the car and crashes into a lamppost. Now I still got a helmet on. His head smashes into the windshield, bleeds like crazy, blood's going all over the place. Now apparently, Dina has been teaching his pickup truck a few tricks in her spare time. The glove box opens, this green, slimy, giant tongue with purple spots comes out and starts licking the blood off the windshield. So anyway, once that's all taken care of, I'm fine, I've still got my helmet on. The Bonfils people come out going, what happened? Anyway, so they get us out of the car, fix us up, and they call Bill's wife to come get us. So we're sitting around, we got time to kill, so Bill says, can I see the picture again? So sure enough, he picks the picture up. Now this is a picture of Queen of the Booth Babes, 3D printed by God. This is not your average picture, obviously. If you can imagine this. Obviously, there's sound and light and 3D motion. It's a picture of my garage. Epica is watching YouTube in the corner. Dina and Queen Matilda are facing off like it's the Wild West. Only they don't have guns. They have cans of whipped cream in their holsters. And at the count of 3, like it's an old duel, they both whip out their whipped cream cans and start spraying one another as they flash transparent. And they start singing, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear Jason, happy birthday to you. So, we're not done yet. That was on Saturday. So that was the most awesome day ever. That ended pretty well. So the next day, Bill says, we've got to go apologize to Queen Matilda down at the Comic-Con. Right? Oh, okay, cool. So he gets his bike, I get on my bike, we're going down to the Comic-Con. Queen Matilda comes out, Queen of the Booth Babes, on a break. Now I told Bill, don't mention Dina's true form, right? We don't want anybody to know what's really happening here. To my complete amazement, Matilda comes out, sees Dina just sitting there going, "Wow." She lets out this squeal, "Epic!" Flips up her costume and just straddles the motorcycle. She doesn't know she's sitting on a supernatural creature that just happens to look like a motorcycle. You can guess what happens next. A giant green tongue with purple spots comes out from under the motorcycle, licks Matilda from head to toe, and she screams, "Ah!" Dina pops a wheelie, goes racing across the parking lot doing donuts with Matilda on board. God love her, Matilda holds on for the ride of her life. For the second day in a row, there's a stampede at the Comic-Con. The entire nerd nation comes out to see what's going on with Dina and Matilda out there in the parking lot. They think it's part of the show. Everybody's stunned. Bill is stunned, all the nerds are stunned, God is beaming, and all anyone can think of to say it with me on 3, 3, 2, 1, epic! And that's the end of my story. So thanks so much for coming out and watching my crazed delusionals, and thank you for not shouting out anything I'll get in trouble with HR. So back to Greg and I. Go on to the next thing on the chart here. Next one. So Greg, my buddy, and I, who played the part of Bill tonight, since the dawn of time, we have been arguing creationism versus evolutionism. You saw the picture of Simone. That is proof that we are not evolved from monkeys. Next chart. When they were giving out the blue pills, Greg took the whole bottle, right? There's no way that we could possibly be evolved from monkeys in my estimation. And I also believe that God is a woman. Anyway, thanks for coming out tonight. I hope you enjoyed the music. Everybody drive safe. You should be sober now since the bar closed at intermission. So we're pretty good on time here, I think. Oh yeah, plenty of time. So they'll close the place at 9. Feel free to hang out. Obviously the bar is closed. Feel free to hang out and we can socialize or drive safe. And able-bodied men